Hello, and welcome to my QTP video tutorial, where I will show you how to use do-until loops. In this video, I'll be answering the following three questions. First, what is a do-until loop? Second, what is a real-world example of how to use a do-until loop? And third, how do I write the code to use it? As a reminder, to stay up to date with my latest videos, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button. This brings us to our first topic, which asks the question, what is a do-until loop? A do-until loop is used when you would like for something to continue to happen until a particular condition is no longer being met. This brings us to the second topic, which asks the question, what is a real-world example of how to use a do-until loop? Let's say you're taking a trip to the grocery store to buy all of the cans of green beans that you can find. When you get there, you need to find the cans of green beans. Once there, reach your hand out, grab one of the cans, and then place it into the cart. Then continue to repeat those same steps until there are no more cans of green beans available. So, if there were 3 cans there, you would do those steps 3 times. However, if there were 20 cans there, you would do those steps 20 times. This brings us to our third topic, which asks the question, how do I write the code to use it? I'll now show you how to write the code in QTP for a do-until loop. For this exercise, we will be using the real-world example that I discussed a couple of slides ago. We will assume that there are 3 cans of green beans available, and we would like to purchase all 3. We will begin by creating what I like to call a flag variable. I will use a variable named available, but you can use whatever name you would like for this. I'll create the variable by typing the word available, then a space, and an equal sign, then a space, then the word true. We'll be using this in our script to tell QTP whether or not there are still cans of green beans available. If there are, the loop should continue. However, if there are not, the loop should stop. We are now ready to create our do loop. We do this by hitting the Enter key to create a new line, then type the word do, and hit the space bar. You'll notice that once I hit the space bar, QTP automatically recognized that I'm looking to create a do loop, so it filled in some code for me. It created an empty line on line 3, and it placed the words loop while false on line 4. Now, QTP defaulted us to basically creating a do while loop. However, for this video, we're actually looking to create a do until loop. So what you need to do on line 4 is double click the word while and type the word until. Now, QTP has also defaulted the loop until condition checker to be at the end of the do loop. Actually, that loop until condition checker can either be at the beginning or the end of the do loop. I'll be showing you both of those ways. We'll begin by taking a look at the loop until condition checker being at the end of the do loop. We now need to update line 4 to continue to loop until the available variable equals false. We can do this by replacing the word false with available equals false. Now what we have done here is we have told QTP to continue to loop until the available variable equals false. Now move the cursor back to the empty line at line 3. We need to create what I like to call a counter variable. We will use this to be able to determine how many loops have been made. I'll be using a variable named I, but you can use whatever name you would like for this. So type the letter I, space, equals, space, I, space, plus, space, 1. Now, I'll walk you through how a counter variable works. The first time a loop occurs, the I variable will have a value of 0 since it has never been used. We will add a 1 to it, so the resulting value will be 1. The second time a loop occurs, the I variable will already equal 1, and we will again be adding 1 to it, which will result in a value of 2. The third time a loop occurs, the I variable will already equal 2, and we will again be adding 1 to it, which will result in a value of 3. We now need to create an if-then statement to tell QTP how to respond depending on whether there are still any cans of green beans available to place in our cart. Now, for more information on if-then-else statements and how to use them in your scripts, please watch one of my other videos where I go into more information on those. So we'll do that by hitting the Enter key to create a new line, then type the word if, and hit the space bar. Now what we need to do is replace the word true on line 4 with I is less than or equal to 3. Now the reason that we are doing this is that there are only 3 cans of green beans available, so after we have already placed the 3 cans of green beans in our cart, there's no need to continue to try to grab more of them. So assuming that there are still cans of green beans to place in the cart, we'll be displaying a message box that will show the number of cans of green beans that we have now placed in our cart. So to do this, I'll move down to line 5, type the command to create a message box, and then create a string that will say number of cans of green beans in cart. And then I'll concatenate the variable I. So when this actually displays on the screen, let's say for example this was the first iteration. The message box would display the string number of cans of green beans in cart, and then at the end of it, it would show 1. The reason being is that would be the value of I for the first iteration. The second loop through, the message box would again display, and it would display a message that would say number of cans of green beans in cart 2. Again, since the I value would be 2 since it's the second iteration. And again, for the third iteration, it would display a message box that would state number of cans of green beans in cart 3, since that is the third iteration. Now, for more information on message boxes and how to use those in your scripts, please watch one of my other videos where I go into more information on those. Now, however, if we have already placed all of the cans of green beans in our cart, we need to update the value of our available variable to false to indicate that there are no more cans of green beans available. To do that, we need to hit the Enter key to create a new line. We'll type else, hit the Enter key, the Tab key, and then set the value of our available variable to false. So now this would be an update because since it defaulted to being true to begin with, this would be updating it to false. Now let's take a quick moment and go back and review over what we have written out here in our script so far. Now in line 1, you'll see that we created a variable that we called available, and we assigned an initial value to it of true. We then create a do loop on line 2. We then have our counter variable on line 3 to tell us which iteration we're on. We then created an if-then-else statement that began on line 4. We're making a condition check to see is I equal to or less than 3. If so, we'll be displaying a message box that will tell us the number of cans of green beans we have in our cart. However, if I equals 4, which would not be less than or equal to 3, the code within the else statement would be executed, which would then change the value of the available variable from true to false. Line 8 would then exit out of the if statement. Line 9 would then be the condition checker. So if available still equals true, the loops would continue. However, if the available variable equals false, the script would then exit out of the do loop and proceed with the rest of the lines of the script beneath the do loop. So at this point, we're now ready to run the script to see how this works. So I'll be walking through it with you line by line, so that way we can see the values as the script progresses. On line 1, as you can see, we're creating the available variable, and we're assigning it a value of true, as you can see here. As we proceed down to the next line, we've now created our counter variable, As you can see, we have a value of 1. The script will now do our condition check in the if statement. It'll see, does I equal to or less than 3, which it is since it's 1. So we'll execute line 5, which is our message box. Which is expected, we see a message that says number of cans of green beans in cart, 1. And again, that's 1 since that's the first iteration that we're going through. We now come to the end of the do loop. We'll step back around, and the reason that we continue to loop again is we're saying loop until available equals false. Well, at this point, available still equals true, which is why we've now started another loop. After we go through our counter variable, we've now updated the value to 2. We're now going to do our condition check again on line 4. So since I is 2, and that is less than or equal to 3, we expect to see a message box come out. We do. Again, it tells us number of cans of green beans in cart is 2, which is correct since this is our second iteration. We now come down to line 9, which again is a check to see we should continue looping until available equals false. Right now, available still equals true, so we'll have another loop to go through. We then update our counter variable to 3. We do our condition check with our if statement on line 4. Now at this point, I equals 3, so we still meet the condition since 3 is equal to 3. So we'll then see another message box that will again show us our iteration count of 3. At this point, available still equals true, so there'll be another loop. We come in, we increment our counter variable again. As you can see, the value is now 4. However, this time when we do our condition check with the if-then statement, I is now 4, which is greater than 3. So the script will now jump down to the code within the else statement, which will now update the variable value of available from true to false. As you can see here at the bottom of the screen, that has now been done. So available now equals false instead of true. Now at this point, our condition checker on the do loop is going to check to see I will continue to loop until available equals false. So at this point, since available does equal false, we will no longer have any more loops to go, and the script will now exit. Now at this point, I had mentioned earlier that you can have the loop until condition checker be at either the beginning or the end of the script. So now I want to show you what that looks like if we put the loop until condition at the top of the script instead of at the bottom. So to do this, on line 9, drag your mouse over all of the text except for the word loop. Cut that text. Click back up on line 2. At the end of the word do, paste the text. You'll see that when you've done that, the words do and until are together. What you need to do is click your mouse after the letter O, but before the letter U, then hit the space bar. When you do that, you'll notice that it then spreads out the text, and you can then see some coloration on the text to let you know that QTP recognizes those words. So we'll go ahead and run the script again just to show you that the functionality is the same. As you can see, there's our first message box, the second, and the third. This now concludes our video where I've answered the following 3 questions. First, what is a do until loop? Second, what is a real-world example of how to use a do until loop? And third, how do I write the code to use it? As a reminder, to stay up to date with my latest videos, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel by clicking the subscribe button. Thank you, and I hope that you have a great day.